New massive SWIFT update and why it's big for XRP. We'll also connect some key things when it comes to this talk of BlackRock and this XRP ETF. Let's talk about it all in today's video.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
I have many friends that are earning every single day trading futures on BTCC. It's a simple process, and even if you don't want to learn how to trade, you could follow a trader on the site and let him do the trading for you. And again, I'm not trying to have any of you guys use your hard-earned money to lose anything. You don't know what you're doing? Don't jump into this, but there is money to be made, and don't use your nest egg for leverage trading. Use a separate portfolio. But I suggest learn how to trade. Earn you some extra money on BTCC. It's easy. You don't have to KYC, and you don't have to use a virtual private network VPN. This is a wonderful site. They've been around since 2011. Give them a shot. Also, when you earn that extra money, you can store that on your Decent wallet. The Decent wallet was not affected by the XRPL debacle, where the backdoor of many wallets was open and there was a breach. So Decent wallet was not affected by that. Decent wallet is as safe as you keep your seed phrase. It's a wonderful product, and you can get the discount by using the link. It's the only way to get the affiliate discount, and that is to use an affiliate link. So that link is popping up on the upper right side of your screen, and it is the one that you will use. You will also get free shipping. Pick you up a Decent wallet today. Secure your assets. If you don't have them stored in a wallet and sitting on an exchange, then you're at risk. So pick you one up today. Thank you. Consider smashing that like. Let's get right into it. So for one, let's pull this up. This is straight from Swift.com. And in this new update, have you seen this? Let's go ahead and play this because, if anything, this is really, really a big deal. This is Javier Pérez-Tasso over at Swift. He is the CEO. I'm going to go ahead and play this just for a brief bit. Listen to this key area that I have fast forward to. Let's go ahead and play it. Here we go.
And already, we can banish some old stereotypes to the history books. So today, 75% of payments on the Swift network now reach end beneficiary banks within 10 minutes. And with the scheme that we kickstarted last week in collaboration with several major banks, many of you present here this week, retail payments can be taken yet to a different level, with full value transfers, no hidden fees, and instant settlement at global scale. Just what consumers expect. So this is a powerful platform for the future. A platform that has double-digit traffic growth today, and with this rejuvenation track, can be even more transformational in the future. But we're going to go beyond that, because here's the reality. In the future, there will be more ways to move value, not fewer.
Think about what he just mentioned there. More ways to transfer value. And if we go over here, just in case you're new to it all, what do we have? Well, basically, like it shows right here, the whole idea of Ripple doing what? On a mission to enable the Internet of Value. So much emphasis, obviously, on what, everybody? ISO 222, the worldwide mandate, November 22nd, at the end of this month. You could feel that something big is about to happen. And that, of course, is from Monica Long, her post over on X. That's part of her profile. Big shout out to her brother in space, Smoke. What does he have on this one? Well, he points out specifically, Ripple plans to retain 25% of all XRP in anticipation of rising XRP price as network demand grows. And as you see here, this is documented basically 2 times over. Let's blow it up a little bit more. You see here specifically in the findings from Fortune, Ripple's funding model is also unique to the cryptocurrency world. Ripple Labs Inc. will retain ownership of 25% of XRP in the Ripple system, projecting that as demand for network service rises, so will the value of the currency required to transact. That is so major. And again, back to the CEO of Swift with his recent announcements on Swift.com. Taking you further into this, another key clipping from Smoke. He highlights this. Ripple Labs plans to retain 25% of all XRP issued to fund operations and hopefully turn a profit, and distribute the rest to incent the participation of market makers, gateways, and consumers to utilize the protocol. Given that there is a finite number of XRP, as demand for XRP grows, the value of XRP should appreciate. All right. What else do we have? Well, jumping more into this and why it matters to you, we see also from Smoke, Swift will move from messaging to full transaction management, driving cross-border value flows through digital assets with ISO 222 by, of course, November 2025. And if anything, on the 22nd of this month, November 2025. This is fully documented below. Let's go ahead and get into this. I think this is big enough for you. And as you see here, basically SWIFT is in fact expanding its capabilities beyond financial messaging to provide comprehensive transaction management services, cross-border payments, instant and frictionless. ISO 222 standards basically is driving industry-wide ISO 222 adoption for cross-border payments. And look what you see here, SWIFT is also actively involved in a number of initiatives supporting interoperability, including MI interlinking projects such as IXB with EBA, clearing and clearinghouse, and experiments to enable CBDCs, tokenize, and other digital assets to interoperate with each other and existing asset types and systems. This other area, let's blow this up a little bit bigger. As you pull this up, what does it mention here? Basically speaking, it says literally from sequential message exchange to transaction management. And as we go further into it, you see the whole thing of ISO 222 migration. You see this area that's not highlighted, but it says rich data, the rich rails, think about that. And again, compliance through it all. This is why we talk so much about ISO 222 compliance. And bottom left area, on the very, very bottom, it literally comes from the citation of SWIFT. And like it says, get ready for SWIFT platform phase 2 technical impact. And it says this was confidential at the time. So shout out to you guys for getting something that was actually a confidential document at one particular time. Restricted. Oh boy. Makes you wonder what kind of access Smoke and some other people have. But traditional messaging, kicking over to tracking and service levels with GPI, another outline I recently did. I don't know if it was on my own or with Channing. We basically cover this with Ripple and GPI. And then the far right, transaction management. But again, that manager of it all, that's what's important. Take you further into this. Let's blow up the next particular one. And basically on this one, what do we see here in regard to that transaction management platform? Well, for one, points out here specifically that the platform mediates between institutions using different communication channels and formats, ensuring interoperability amongst all members of the community. Institutions can continue to use the MT format with the platform until the ISO 222 migration deadline for cross-border payments and reporting is basically mandated. And that is important. I think that's on the next particular page. Actually, it's right here on the very bottom. Like it says here, reporting in November 2025 and can adopt to new services such as those provided through APIs at their own pace. The other area I want to jump into is again highlighting this other key area. Let's pull this up. Like it says here, blockchain networks could be interlinked for cross-border payments through a single gateway. SWIFT said, at least at that time, SWIFT's new transaction management capabilities could orchestrate all inter-network communication. Bottom area of emphasis, SWIFT said they can serve as a single access point to different blockchains and that its infrastructure could be used to create and trade tokens across tokenization platforms. And yet there's people that will still tell you that none of this stuff that we cover has any weight in any or no significance at all. That could be any more further from the truth. Taking you more into this outline, let's take you to this next particular part of emphasis. I want to give a big shout out to Bank XRP. Bank XRP points out Ripple Swell is taking place right next to BlackRock. In fact, Ripple Swell is live as we speak still. And is it a coincidence or perfectly calculated? Shout out to whoever took this. Maybe it was Bank XRP or maybe one of his friends or somebody in the community. Listen to this. Watch this. See for yourself. This is only 10 seconds. Here we go. Yep, BlackRock. So isn't that really convenient? Literally right next door. And you see the sign when FIDI clocks out, we are still clocked in. Global transactions 24/7 with Ripple. Payments, custody, stablecoin. Again, think about this. Deal in dollars, so on and so forth. Let me pause it on that. Deal in dollars after the trade deadline. Global transactions 24/7 with Ripple. I don't think this is a coincidence. I do think this is strategically done on purpose. Personally, I'm gonna play this one more time, just in case you missed it. Yeah, Ripple Swell event is here, and then right next to that, boom, BlackRock. So yeah, I play that again, but again, nothing wrong with playing it again. The other area I want to jump into is literally from Ripple. Does Ripple tag BlackRock in anything? They do. And just in case you're new and you've never seen this, how do you unlock real-time liquidity for institutional assets? With RLUSD. And they cite Ripple.com. Our new partnership with Securitize will allow holders of BlackRock's BIDL and VanEck's USV bill to instantly exchange their shares for RLUSD, thereby preserving exposure to on-chain yield and other DeFi capabilities. Securitize is also integrating with the XRP ledger to expand access and utility to the XRP ecosystem. This is how we're building the infrastructure for a more efficient, compliant, and on-chain future. And what do you see there from September 23rd, 2025, not that long ago? Ripple and Securitize enable RLUSD smart contract functionality for BlackRock's BIDL. Now, there's more about this. because if you go over to that URL, you see specifically here what they're talking about. And more importantly, this area that would allow basically tokenizing real world assets, basically with smart contracts that will allow holders of BlackRock's build of NX build to exchange their shares to Ripple, yes, Ripple, for RLUSD. And again, providing an off-ramp for BIDL and VBIL, tokenized short-term treasury funds. And this other area, BlackRock's USD Institutional Digital Liquidity Fund BIDL and VanEck Treasury Fund represent both firms' first tokenized funds issued on public blockchains. That's a very, very big deal. And if anything, it will gain more of that continuous exposure to RLUSD while preserving exposure to on-chain yield and a broader range of DeFi strategies, further driving utility. Isn't that the point? Absolutely. Getting further into this, why it matters to you? What about Securitize? We did talk about Securitize a while back, very, very long ago, end of September, on September 27th. Securitize did point out at that time, BlackRock, VanEck, Ripple, and Securitize joined forces with RLUSD liquidity for BIDL, again, that VBIL. Morgan Stanley was part of it to offer crypto trading through Zero Hash, episode 1 debut of the Talking Tokenization podcast. Shout out to Rue Black. We just did another bit of coverage about this. You'll probably get the next day or so. But whatever the case be, SEC Chair Atkins talks partnership versus merger with CFTC and a cred tokens that arrive on the Say blockchain. Okay, so that is worth pointing out, right? Here's again why it's worth pointing out. For one, if you get more deeper into it, which is, you know, this is what I do. Shout out to Mark Bowman, founder and CEO of 51 Group. He points out, at least 3 days ago, stablecoin deal was in the works. And this is where I really want you to pay attention. It says Coinbase is in the final talks to acquire BVNK. Now, why am I pointing this out? Well, basically, I want to point out that you have to keep in mind what? All the recent coverage that I've been sharing with you guys when it comes to all this movement specifically to Coinbase, whether it is your BlackRocks, whether it is some of these other ones. But whatever the case be, there's a strategic alignment going on with all of this movement. And on top of that, even Q&T with those Coinbase 10 wallets. Lots of Q&T with 0 pairings, just Q&T locked up. I think there's something big in the pipeline. Jumping more into this and why it matters, we see here specifically, like Mark points out, that's right, one of the most important stablecoin infrastructure providers in Europe, by the way, backed by Visa, Citi, Han Ventures, could soon be part of Coinbase. This is big news. BVNK is the engine behind stablecoin payments, treasury, and FX for modern business. They power payouts in 180 plus countries. This isn't a wallet, it's Stripe for stablecoins. And if the deal closes, Coinbase gets the back end to scale Coinbase business into full stack banking for internet economy. Let's zoom out. 20% of Coinbase revenue now comes from stablecoins. They already took stakes in Circle and Echo. They already partnered with Shopify for stablecoin payments. They already released de facto stablecoin payment standard times 402. Now they're going after the pipes. This isn't just about USDC. It's about owning the rails. And don't forget, just 2 months ago, Citi invested in BVNK. Jane Fraser says Citi is exploring its own stablecoin plus custody services. The banks are moving fast, and they know why. And the infrastructure war is on. Coinbase versus Circle versus Tether versus Stripe. Who owns the payment flows? Who captures FX and spread? Who gets the cut on margin? Just yesterday, news broke that MasterCard is acquiring Zero Hash. And this guy says he remembers Maya Vujonovich telling me 2 years ago that the space will consolidate fast. She was right. And there's more to come, she said. 2025 is the year of crypto acquisitions. Coinbase to Deribit, Echo, Stripe with Privy, Robinhood, Bitstamp, MasterCard, Zero Hash, Ripple, Hidden Road, MoonPay, Iron, Circle, Hashnote, and now Coinbase with BVNK. The rails are being built. The margins are up for grabs. We had BVNK's team on the show earlier this year, and if anything, you can check out that link. So that's also important. The other area I want to jump into is, just in case you've never seen this, and again, you're brand new to my program, I want to point out some key things that you may not even be aware of at all. So for one, I did mention Quant. Got to throw in some Quant. Remember how I mentioned Stripe? Remember how this gentleman just mentioned Stripe? And their role, Overledger has integration with Stripe. That's important. And the other thing that this gentleman basically mentioned was this part up here about specifically what? About specifically the whole thing of Shopify. And when you get more into it, we have come to the conclusion that there's so many things that have integrations that people don't really realize. And jumping back to here, how many integrations do you see right here? Literally 3 with the Overledger. And again, when we click on that, what do you want to automate with Overledger and Shopify? Call it a big coincidence, but all these things definitely matter, especially to us being investors. Jumping more into this, remember how you mentioned Citi? And remember how you mentioned BVNK? Well, for BVNK.com, these may be the things that people aren't providing to you, but I will. I'll do my best. Citi Ventures backs BVNK and strategic investment to scale stablecoin infrastructure globally, by the way. And as we blow this up further, you see here, the landmark deal underscores the growing institutional adoption of stablecoin technology in global finance. More importantly, BVNK, Citi Ventures. Keep in mind, Citi basically was a host of the RLN, Regulated Liability Network, and the RSN, Regulated Settlement Network. We also know that Ripple and Quant were participants in all that. So this all adds up. And more importantly, BVNK secures strategic investment from Citi Ventures, the venture arm of the world's largest global banks. You see here the funding followed recent backing from Visa, Tiger Global, and Han Ventures, comes as stablecoins shift from edges of crypto into regulated finance. Recent Citi research projects stablecoins could reach a multi-trillion-dollar payment market in the years ahead, and BVNK currently processes $20 billion annually for global enterprises and payment service providers, including WorldPay, Flywire, dLocal, and enables them to solve real-world payments and treasury challenges. Why? Because it's a strategic investment, comes as regulatory clarity emerges globally with frameworks like the GENIUS Act in the United States, enabling banks to issue stablecoins. That is so worth pointing out. Now, is there anything more on this topic of BVNK? There is. Big shout out once again to Mr. Man XRP. I do rate this guy up there with your smokes, your Professor Ripple effects, so on and so forth. This guy's one of the OGs in the space, saving New York City and the rest of the world from the evildoers who are anti-blockchain and DLT. He states, BVNK provides the on and off ramps for US dollar stablecoins. And do we have a Ripple connection? We do. And this is why we connect the dots. BVNK and Ripple collaborate to integrate RLUSD, Ripple stablecoin, into global payment systems via SWIFT. Boom. Boil it, mash it, stick it in a stew. Now you understand how this all comes together, especially if you stay the course and listen to the outline. Because BVNK enables businesses to settle stablecoin payments, convert to fiat, and use SWIFT for transfers. Chainlink provides secure Oracle services, ensuring reliable, real-time exchange rates, enhancing efficiency and trust in cross-border transactions while bridging blockchain and traditional financial systems. And that part right there, everybody, that is so major. And in the visual, what do we have? Well, basically, listen to this for yourself. 1 minute, we'll be right back.
For you as the operator, in a crypto payment, it transacts almost instantaneously between two wallets. But when you're having to bridge that into SWIFT, I would imagine that you lose that instantaneous transfer and guaranteed transaction in some way. Are you carrying that risk on behalf of your customers of payment completion and the time delay there? How does the business work around that?
Short answer, no. The way we use SWIFT today is think about a customer trying to access stablecoin payment rails. The only way they can do that is to send a SWIFT payment, let's say send a dollar SWIFT payment, get stablecoins, and now they're free to move at internet speed, to move value at internet speed. So we're just providing that on-ramp, for lack of a better term, using a SWIFT rail into stablecoins, and then vice versa. Once they've used and moved value around at internet speed or received value from somebody else, they want to get back into the traditional financial system. And how they do that is they get out of those stablecoins back into SWIFT, and we settle that SWIFT payment. So we don't really take any of that risk. The payment needs to complete before we get into the system. Once they're in the system, you obviously get the full benefits of crypto payments being instant settlement.
One of the other things I know.
And think about that instant settlement. So that was very well explained. Getting into this other part of why we're paying attention to this, how about this? BVNK is a stablecoin payments infrastructure firm. It plays a significant role in advancing Ripple's stablecoin initiatives. And as a partner, BVNK is expected to help Ripple's institutional business-to-business stablecoin reach end customers, enhancing its success. One more citation from Mr. Mann. We also see here, BVNK, according to FinTech Magazine, did launch United States dollar payments with SWIFT for stablecoin access. Again, more and more receipts of the actual connection with Ripple and SWIFT. And pulling up another key thing I want to point out, back to Mark Bowman, he points out just 3 days ago, stablecoin deal in the works. Coinbase is in final talks to acquire BVNK for $2 billion. And again, what did I share with you guys literally the other day? Well, the strategic shift when it comes to $500 million of BTC and ETH being moved over to Coinbase. And of course, all the other things we talked about with a lot of QNT being moved over to Coinbase, or if anything, locked up, no pairings. Do you consider this just a giant coincidence? I don't at this particular point. Getting into it a little bit more, we have some other key things we want to get into. You have Mark Bowman, who says that's right, one of the most important stablecoin infrastructure providers in Europe, again, backed by Citi. Han Ventures could soon be part of Coinbase. I already reiterated that, but wanted to pound that home again. All right, there's a little bit more. A blast from the past. Christine Lagarde on the risk of crypto assets. Again, think about the ISO 222 mandate coming here soon. Is this an official endorsement when it comes to all this? Well, draw your own conclusion, because I do feel as though that this is a major, major deal. Here we go.
What I say is, number one, those who invest should know. It cannot be this crypto hype where, because a friend of a friend has made X, you think that it's going to work and it's going to continue to increase. It's a super risky asset. My very humble assessment is that it is worth nothing. It's based on nothing. There is no underlying assets to act as an anchor of safety. If the day when we have the central bank digital currency out, any digital euro, I will guarantee. So the central bank will be behind it.
Think about what she just mentioned right there. And the central bank will be behind it. Now, previously, for all you guys that have seen the videos already, we've already shown the proof. Ripple, their work with the European Central Bank for digital euro. Quant Network, their work when it comes to the digital euro. And even Hedera, right? So if you think about it, think about what she just mentioned. It's going from the time period of when this was released, which, by the way, let me just double check this real quick. She made these statements 3 years ago. Wow. Kind of a different tone, to say the least, right? Compared to then. And again, think about the infrastructures that are now part of not only the ISO 222 worldwide mandate, but the ones building and working on the digital euro. Let's pound it home a little bit more. What about this one? This is also crucial. Think about this. This is from this interview of IMF's Lagarde at that time. Disruptors like cryptocurrencies are clearly shaking the system. Listen to this as well. It will all make sense. 2 minutes, 20 seconds. We'll come back here in just a bit. Here we go.
Main topics up there was cryptocurrencies and all sorts of companies now getting into this effort, not least among them Facebook. What kind of threat does this pose to the traditional banking system?
Well, I think you have incumbents, the banks, commercial banks, and you have the disruptors. And clearly the disruptors are having an impact on the incumbents. We just heard a very large systemic bank here saying that they're launching their digital coin, currently piloted in a way within the institutional clients, but to be scaled beyond that. We heard from the European Central Bank that they have launched in November something that is called TIPS, that enables all the banks in the Eurozone to actually transfer instantly at virtually no cost money between them. So I think the role of the disruptors and anything that is using distributed ledger technology, whether you call it crypto assets, currencies or whatever, and it's far from the bitcoins that we used to talk about a year ago, that is clearly shaking the system. The voice that we heard, which was, I thought, really interesting, were those of the regulators and central bank governors who said, well, yes, this is good and this is helpful and it is changing the business model of commercial banks. But we have to be mindful of two things: trust and stability of the system. And we are equally concerned, we at the IMF, about stability. We don't want innovation that would shake the system so much that we would lose the stability that is needed.
And are regulators doing enough right now to ensure that stability and as well competition from some of these big tech companies being involved in this space?
I think they're mindful of wherever the competition is coming from. The central bank governor of Kenya was explaining to us that they gave a banking license to a telecom company. And I think in the future, we have to look at what lots of data collectors and movers are going to do, and whether they're going to move into the banking space forcefully, in which case they will have to be regulated. They will have to be held accountable so that they can be fully trusted.
Right. Not talking about the Bitcoins. This is currently shaking the systems, the distributed ledger technologies. The writing was literally on the wall a while back, right? Absolutely. All right. How about this? Back to the whole thing about BlackRock for a brief moment. Shout out to TradingView. TradingView pointed out rumors circulate about BlackRock's partnership with Ripple and XRP, and an ex-post XRP influencer Jack the Rippler said that there are rumors that BlackRock is about to announce a partnership with Ripple to tokenize assets on the XRPL. You had another influencer, Crypto Sensei, has got a huge platform, right? And Bale also shared the rumor, sparking excitement among XRP community members. However, BlackRock and Ripple have yet to issue an official announcement about the rumored partnership, suggesting these claims may not be true. Even Paul Barron Network, shout out to a particular member in our Patreon, I don't know if you want to be mentioned, so I won't mention your name, but he pointed out Paul Barron did highlight that. Paul Barron felt as though that this could very well happen, and it could happen soon. So again, no matter how big of a YouTube platform you have, there's a common ground consensus here that this could happen. However, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink confirmed that they are building their own technology to tokenize several of their funds and expand their crypto offerings. BlackRock CEO noted that tokenization could help crypto native investors access more traditional assets. He further remarked that if they could tokenize an ETF, they could get these investors into more traditional long-term retirement products. Notably, the asset manager already has products such as tokenized money market fund, which we know is BIDL, which runs on the Ethereum network. Now watch this. I've shared this before in the past. A lot of you guys have already seen this. But why can't Larry Fink from BlackRock answer this question? Again, there's a whole new wave of people that want to see this. 19 seconds. We'll jump right back.
Let me ask you this. Will you do another ETF? How about an XRP ETF? I know you got Ether out there. How about XRP? Can you answer that?
I can't. And you don't want me to.
I do.
Well, I can't.
All right. They're giving me the rap.
All right. So with that said, think about why you can't. You're probably under a non-disclosure agreement, at least at that time. And a lot of us have already seen this. All right. But a lot of us who are new who, basically haven't. Nothing I want to pound home is back to the whole topic that we started off with right after the CEO of S.W.I.F.T came out with his statements, especially when you talk about value. Shout out to Smoke again. Listen to this. This is the former, I believe, marketing officer. Yeah. Ripple's former chief market strategist, Corey Johnson. At least a few years ago, he made this remark: with the interledger protocol and using XRP, we will create the internet of value. Yes, XRP is the main component in Ripple's strategy in creating the value layer of the internet. That is the biggest piece of the puzzle. Listen to this for yourself. We'll jump back in 16 seconds.
An internet of value. We had an internet of data. It has changed the world, but it is missing that crucial component of moving value. So with the interledger protocol and with Ripple software and using XRP, we've created an internet of value.
Right, an internet of value. Absolutely. Now, here's another big announcement. JPMorgan recently posted on jpmorgan.com the ISO 222 Journey and S.W.I.F.T Transaction Manager. JPMorgan made the decision to do what? Fully embrace ISO 222 and the benefits it can provide by being an early adopter, supporting the receipt and sending of native ISO 222 payment messages for S.W.I.F.T CBPR Plus since March 2023. After almost 6 months, 15% of global outgoing messages were in the proper MX format. Again, MX by definition is ISO 222, and JPMorgan accounted for nearly half of those. This means we have learned lessons early. See our ISO 222 first 120 days live ebook that we are able to share with our clients. We are, as in JPMorgan, the biggest single originator of MX payment traffic on S.W.I.F.T CBPR Plus, have the most traffic flowing successfully through S.W.I.F.T TM, and have adopted correct message usage and formatting best practices. Again, straight from who? JPMorgan. And again, you guys will probably inevitably find out some more information about basically Quant Network doing the JPM coin. But again, I just think that's inevitable. So with that said, do me a solid if you listen to this entire outline, because again, it helps me have some good feedback. And type in this key word or phrase into the comments, and that is basically massive update, because this is a massive update. And again, lets me know if you listen to the end of the outline. Saying goes, know what you have, know why you hold it. The research trumps FUD 110%. May the Lord Jesus bless you all. I truly mean that. We'll see you on the next one. Over and out.